marketing and branding is probably my favorite topic in all of business, and there's definitely something to be said about people and brands that can be contrast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you noticed every fucking house and even this building, every commercial building's got a white and black kind of fucking tone, right? It's aesthetically pleasing. And when I think of guys, even like going back to, I know you're a fan of Gary Vee stuff, middle-aged, probably 40-some-year-old white dude, huge hip-hop, black culture, urban style to him. And those two contrasting things are extremely magnetic, right? So for you specifically, like I look at like from a marketing standpoint, if I was a firm and I wanted to take Dave Hurt from here to here, I'd be like, he's got all the pieces to it. He's got, again, he's gonna stop the thumb scroll, not just because, and he's only going to stop the thumb scroll because what he looks like and how he conveys himself or how he talks creates a whatever. Because I could, if let's say I've got my IG, right, and I'm busy and I'm public and I can't listen to the audio, probably scroll right past you because there's 100,000 other dudes, jacked, beards, tats, mohawks. But the second you open your mouth, which is why, I'm super excited about your podcast. I think that's truly going to be an unlock for you. That's what creates this wave over you. We're like, holy shit. That's like, I'm waiting for the jacked, tattooed, mohawk, huge preacher. Like that guy would get some fucking views.
That juxtaposition of two different worlds. And like, for me, it's truly just like doing what I love. Like I fucking love science. I can nerd out on the most esoteric topics and I think to an extent, this is why Joe Rogan is successful, right? Like tattooed guy, does jujitsu, hunts, does all these things, but he will get a neuroscientist on it and really dive into like, the nuances of the brain and stuff. And it's like, I love that kind of stuff. And I had Sean Whalen on my podcast, and we were talking about, when he gets together with the guys like around the campfire drinking beers and stuff, guys that look like me, like they're talking about like life on other planets. And, like that's the shit that I really get down with is like there's no box that you got to be in, man.
Sure.
Not at all. And I think it does help with my following or my branding or whatever. And that's cool. But it's also just who I am. And I think if a lot of people would just truly talk to themselves about who they are, they'd be a lot happier and more successful because they will find a tribe that resonates with them. I mean, there's fucking 9 billion people on the earth, right? Like, it's crazy. Like you had, who was your first guest on Shoot the Shit?
Sydney Cummings.
Sydney Cummings. When you guys started, you were saying she's the most famous person you'd had on the show.
Yeah.
I had never heard of her.
I know.
And so that just shows you how big this fucking world is, man. Like I had Seth Feroce on my podcast, 500,000 followers, millions on YouTube, fucking super popular. Tons of people, I would say, like, I just had Seth Feroce on. Like I'm saying it like they're like, who's that?
Yeah.
It's like there's so much room for growth and finding people that resonate with you. Just be what the fuck you want, man, and the people are out there.
It's so funny. Like every niche has their Brad Pitt, their celebrity kind of thing to it. Like there's a woman who is into air frying, and she'll like, if I met her on the streets, she'll be like, oh my God, have you listened to Daisy McDale's YouTube channel? I'm like, who the fuck's Daisy McDale? She's like, she is the fucking the Trump, the Brad Pitt, the whatever caricature, whatever person you want of air frying, of frying. Yeah, like and every niche fucking has that. And that's where niching in is in my opinion is where all the money exists. I call it the white space, right? Like that's what I try to do here with Urban. It's what I try to do with WTF is find the two big spots. And then what's in the middle? And in the middle, you could cut it a bunch of different ways, but find one of the things in the middle, and that's the white space. That's the opportunity. In design, we call the white space the actual clear space. If I put a logo here and a tagline here, the white space is everything in between. That's the area to exploit. And whenever, and you've obviously had to change the name because of trademark issues and stuff like that. But like this concept of mind to man in your podcast, I love it. I think it truly, but like when I think of Dave Hurt's success, it would be like if he could get a bunch of guys, because a lot of guys are initially going to stop and follow you because they believe you're going to lead them to the information that will help them look like you. And that's you got to get that. That's the first bit.
I get it every day.
Just like I get some gym owners like, I want to own my own building. I want to license gyms. I want to have a successful gym. And that's like maybe the thing on my resume. Like, again, I keep using your Gary Vee stuff, but his opening line. I took my parents' liquor store company from 3 to 60 whatever million, right? That's his opening catch you. This is why I'm significant line. But beyond that, if you could get men to go for this and be like if you had a Dave Hurt word of the week, I want you to have a Dave Hurt word of the week, high-end fucking word. Dig into your UC Berkeley fucking, I want you a high-end fucking word. I want you fuckers to use this 10 times this week and upgrade your goddamn vocabularies and be fucking more educated. The science, and we'll get into some of that here, but the science that you know behind what creatine monohydrate actually does versus what does this steroid do versus protein synthesis and optimal anabolic. You have a library, like an Urban Dictionary, a Dave Dictionary of fucking terms that no one else is using. But if you got all these guys that are into being a meathead, that's their identity, to be using smart fucking words, and their goal is to go out there, instead of worrying about if your flex looks good as you talk to that chick, drop the Dave Hurt word of the fucking week on them. That would be a movement I could see for your brand.
I honestly, I can't tell you how many DMs, messages, etc. I get from females thanking me for talking about that stuff. They're like, thank you so much for saying that it's okay for a meathead to be vulnerable and to care.
Yeah.
And to actually,
I made my boyfriend listen to your podcast because he was too much of a dick.
I've heard that so many fucking times already about I got my husband to listen to it. I got my father to listen to it, all this stuff. And it's it's so freeing too when you because look, most dudes who look like me or some iteration of me, they got some shit going on, right? You got some shit going on. Maybe you had a shitty childhood. Maybe I don't know, you're self-conscious about something. Let's be honest, right? A lot of dudes who are in the gym fucking day in and day out trying to get as huge as possible. Look, some just absolutely love it, for sure. But there's some that got some shit going on, and they want to be able to be as open as I am, and they're messaging me dude, how do you do it? I'm you just fucking do it, bro. What do you mean, how do I do it? I just talk about what's on my mind, and who's, I don't give a fuck what people think. I don't know, I have the people in my circle that I care about in real life, and then if I put all this shit out here and people out in social media land are, not cool with it, that's fine. They're not, that's totally cool. You got to be accepting of that, because you're never going to have 100% of people resonate with you, right? Again, it goes back to you'll find your tribe. Just keep putting it out there and being true to yourself.